Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and I want to thank you for tuning in. As usual, if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and click the bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. Alright, so this week I have a Hot Wheels Chevy Vega that I got from somebody off of Instagram. It came in a package of, 10 or 15 cars. It's in pretty rough shape. I mean, overall, from afar, it looks good. Obviously, the red windshield it actually kind of threw me for a loop. This whole project and the whole point of this particular video is kind of to show that not everything goes right. I know sometimes, we watch these videos on YouTube and, the way we edit, everything looks perfect and it looks like it was a breeze. And this is going to be a good example of how that's not true. Doesn't happen very often anyways. So after I drilled it and took it apart and stripped it, the body is in a little bit worse shape than I kind of thought it was. I start off with the wheels, which kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop. I wanted the back end jacked up a little bit, and I was going to go kind of a dragster style. So I got these big wheels off of a highway hauler, one of the Street Fighter ones. It had 3 sets of wheels on it, and I used 2 already on something else, so it was a good opportunity to try to use the 3rd set. However, I did this, and I posted this picture on Instagram, just as it sat, and somebody had pointed out astutely that the front wheels had a deeper dish than the back, and it looked kind of stupid. And I agreed. Excuse me. So I thought, let me try these Kragers on the front, and then I wanted to go, if it was going to be a dragster, I was going to color the back wheels. They'd be a different, like somebody threw a set of slicks on to go down the drag strip. That was kind of my intention. So there's a few spots on the hood that needed to be fixed. I don't know if they were supposed to be there, but if they were, they weren't even. I'm got a big thing about symmetry. So I took some spot putty, some glazing putty, and I put it on, and then the cowl induction hood, I believe it's an L88 hood, had a little bit of scratches on it, and the same thing on the roof, and they were pretty deep. I still have yet to get a zinc plater, so I'm kind of stuck with the putty. But if you put it on your finger and you just kind of smooth it in and just get enough, it'll actually fill in the cracks, and you won't have a ton on there to have to sand off after the fact. You can kind of see me rubbing it in there and taking the excess off. It's almost acting like a sponge. You can do the same thing with a squeegee. So after that's all set, I take my Styno Res and I'm going to put a nice thick coat of primer on that'll help fill in some of the scratches. I'm also painting the rims because I was going to paint them black, which I did do. But with the chrome, I just wanted to put a coat of primer on it first just to give it something to stick to when I painted it black. This Styno Res, again, if you watch the last couple of videos of it, I just started using it and I really, really like it. So this is the gray primer. So while that's drying, I figured I'd do some touch up, and I wanted to paint the grille black, and I want to paint the rims on the rear black as well, and start detailing because everything's going smooth, everybody's happy, birds are chirping, and things are going according to plan. And this is the Citadel paints, and I use mostly Citadel paints on any kind of detail work I do on my cars. It just works out good. So I thought I was going to go with a wicked yellow, and everything's looking good. Everybody's happy again. I'm putting some 4012 reducer in there, and I've never used the yellow, so that's a disclaimer right there, and it's obvious. So I did shake this yellow up a lot, even though I think I've had it for maybe 6 months. I just never used it. So I put a light coat on. I'm getting a little bit worried at this point because it's not going on the way I want it to. I put a second coat on a little bit heavier, and it's not your monitor. It is pea green. It just is not. I don't know if it was the primer, but I decided to strip it and go a different route. So that was phase 1 of my problems. I'm using a silver sealer now because I want to go with a pearl white. And I still figured I can kind of go with that dragster look. I'd put some decals on it and call it a day. So I'm going to put the silver sealer on from Createx, and this acts like a primer. You can put it right on bare metal. I really like this stuff. I've got silver and black. I've used them both. Um, Not as thick as primer. So here's the pearl white after the silver sealer dries, and I'm sure I'll get comments on that. But anyways, the pearl white over the silver base really didn't come out white. It came out pearl, but it definitely retained the properties of the silver below it. And I've got a silver pearl, and this looks identical. So I think I should have used they sell a 40/40 bleed checker, and I think I should have used that. But at this stage, I was kind of digging the pearl anyways, the silver. So I figured I'd go with some candy marine blue, and I was just going to kind of do a fade on it off the nose and kind of go like a early 70s, mid 70s look. It's hard to do with an airbrush. I mean, I could have masked off, but I didn't want the sharp lines. I was going for at this point, I was kind of going for a particular look. And I've had success doing fades before, so I figured with the candy, it was a good shot. If I went with a straight color, I think I would have had to mask off. So I put 2 coats of the candy blue on over the silver pearl, and I am really kind of digging it at this point. So the big thing is you're going to run into problems, and it's figuring out a way to overcome it. There was 3 or 4 times throughout this process I was ready to just throw this thing in the frickin' trash. I was just getting so frustrated. So since this was used, the window was a little scratched, wasn't too bad. A little wet sand, a little polish, and actually I didn't even have to use my Dremel. I just, to get the wet sanding marks off, I just put a little bit on with my finger, then wiped it off with a terry cloth towel, and it came out really good. Excuse me. I decided to, I've been using the Future Shine like everybody else. I was a little late adopter on this, but it really does make a huge difference. I'm sorry for not using it sooner on my windshields. The polish works great and it gives a great shine, but you can see the difference right now. It's just phenomenal. So you got to make sure you wick off any excess that might be on, because it will dry how it looks. And make sure you cover it, because it takes quite a while to dry, and you don't want any dust or debris getting on it. So here it is together. And I usually don't do this, but because this isn't the final product. Excuse me, I just was not digging this. The black wheels weren't doing it for me. So I had a set of deep dish Kragers. I'm not sure what Hot Wheels it came off of, but they're all the same size. And because I had planned on going with the bigger tires in the rear and had notched the rear, it's going to sit with a rake, which is awesome. However, the smaller tire diameter in the back left this huge gap up to the fender well. And I was kind of contemplating at this point what I was going to do. So finally, after some going back and forth on what the heck I was going to do at this point, because now it's painted. I like what's on there, but I just wasn't, the size was throwing me off because I had already notched everything out. So I decided to take the actual rubber off those and then put the rubber on from the original set of tires that I'd painted black. And those are I say much, but they're definitely a wider and a taller tire. And those on the Kragers maintain the same deep dish all the way around with a larger tire, just like we used to do a lot of times in the 70s and the 80s. We would go with a wide 50 in the back, and sometimes we could go with a deep dish Krager in the back and a narrow in the front. Sometimes you go deep all the way around. So I was kind of staying true to the period. So because I'm doing that, I wanted to do a little extra. I decided to flat black the entire base instead of just the grill. And then I was going to start hitting the details. So I take my Citadel paints again. I get some, I think that was Evil Sun Scarlet. It's got more of a little bit of an orangey tint, but not quite enough. So I'm going to mix it with some yellow to hit the front marker lights. That's the other good thing about the Citadel, is you can mix them however you want, and then you just water it down a little bit, and it gives you a little bit of a lot of flexibility, and you won't see any brush marks. which is what I really like. Granted, on a marker light, they're pretty small. You're not going to see it anyways. And I'm just putting like a dab on my tip of my brush. And that's, I believe it's 0 brush. This is the size. They're nothing fancy. They're like $8. They have some really nice, $20 brushes, but I don't have those. And now all I got to do is do the rear markers and the rear tail lights. And I want to apologize about my voice. Allergies in New England are killing me. So I take my chrome pen. I'm going to hit the door handles. I'm going to hit the front bumpers. I take my silver pen, my marker, Sharpie, and hit my headlights. I find that works a little bit better than the white paint. It kind of gives a little bit of reflectiveness and looks a little bit more realistic. I haven't quite figured out the best way to paint headlights and make them look real. And I'll take my chrome pen also and do what would be the chrome molding around the grill opening for the front end. Just kind of make it pop a little bit. With the blue, it would stand out. If it was the silver, it probably wouldn't make that much of a difference. Once again, I'm going to take my silver Sharpie, and I'm going to detail the base, even though nobody ever sees it. I'm going to hit the mufflers. I'm going to hit the exhaust pipes. I'm going to end up taking some orange and doing the bottom of the motor, because the motor's a Chevy, and usually you paint the motor either black or orange, so black kind of looked stupid with the black base, so I wanted to stand out a little bit. And now it's just a matter of assembly, and I'm really happy with it. So in the end, it came out pretty good. I've been trying to do a little bit the last couple of videos on previews of what's coming up, and I got this Volkswagen Bug that I'm going to be modifying a little bit and putting some new tires and rims on it. I'm going to be taking that roof rack off. I'm not sure if I'm going to use a surfboard, just look kind of cool for the video. And then I've got this, I've already done 162, but I'm really going to make this one wild. I'm going to take and maybe make a custom chassis, add the motor in from the Bone Shaker, all that kind of jazz. So it's what we started with, and this is what I ended up after a lot of trials and tribulations. Again, the whole point of this is it's going to happen. You're going to get into situations that you're just not happy with the way things are coming out. The more you do this, the more you're going to learn how to work your way out of it. And also, it happens to everybody. I get a lot of comments about people saying, oh, I can't do this, and you guys make it look easy. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check out my other videos, and I'll catch you on the next one.